That's I'm gonna have to verify my contract to see if I get in that group.
I mean, honestly, trust Dash to make it a monetary thing, but I am here for the love. Okay, I'm here for the love. That is what I am here for. Welcome, welcome, welcome to AWS Power Hour Architecting Associate Season 1, Episode 1. And my name is Erica Vismer. I am originally from Stellenbosch, which is very close to Cape Town in South Africa. If anybody is from South Africa, let me know. Actually, let me know where you are coming from.
Yeah, just in general. Yeah, like
Yeah.
even if you're not coming from South Africa, just where in the world are you currently watching from?
Yes, where in the world are you from? I would love to know that as well. Where are you coming in from, Dash?
So I am coming in from the Houston-ish, Texas area. So I'm down here. My name is Dash. I'm Dash Williams. I'm a senior solutions architect here at AWS. And I've been in Texas for a fairly long time. So where I'm watching from and where I'm from, same answer.
Okay. What about you, Jason?
Yeah. So I am actually coming from Las Vegas, Nevada. Originally from Ohio, so mine would be different. Where I'm from and where I'm broadcasting from is different. So yeah. Do I need to do the IO? Yeah. So Jason Smith, I'm a technical curriculum developer here at AWS, and excited about Season 7 and working with our excellent host and our chat support. And glad you're all here. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, me too. So you have this amazing solutions architect, you have this wonderful technical curriculum developer with you, and I am a global delivery readiness technical lead, which is just a super long name for an instructor of instructors. That is what I do. I make sure that our instructors have all of the technical and delivery skills that they need to do their job. But let's jump into what we have for you today. I would love to know a little bit more about you. How many episodes of our series have you watched? Why am I even asking this? This is the first episode.
How about this? How many different series have you watched?
Yes.
We can just flip it.
Oh my goodness. Honestly,
yeah, I think overall, how many series, how many shows has anyone watched?
Is this your first time with us?
Yeah. I just want a lot of hearts. Okay, I want a lot of hearts. People who watch us on twitch.tv/AWS Training Live. And if that's where you're watching us from, on there somewhere-ish, what I would love for you to do is just click on the follow button. And if you are watching us from LinkedIn Live, absolutely welcome in. So happy to have you here.
Oh yes, and from the LinkedIn Live, I can see we have Lagos, Nigeria, we have Houston, we have California, India, Johannesburg, South Africa, Hoboken, New Jersey.
Hoboken is a real place. I thought that was just in movies.
Oh yeah, no, real place. Hoboken is real.
I love that. Welcome in, Mr. or Miss Hoboken.
Oh yeah, I mean we have Kenya, we have Hyderabad. We're Denver, Senegal, all over the UAE from Abu Dhabi. Let's see, Kolkata, India. We have people from literally Bangladesh all over the world.
Wow.
I am loving this. Right Thank you so much, Dash, for letting us know about that. Okay, Dash, can you tell people a little bit more about where we stream and where they can get access to our streams?
Absolutely, I can. So, if you're already here now, there's a great chance. It doesn't want me to show my screen, but we can make sure that we drop those links in the chat. So there are two different places that you'll be able to watch, but you can get to both of those places from one location. The AWS Training Live page. From the AWS Training Live page, you will see two links. One says watch on LinkedIn. The other says watch on Twitch. You can follow any of those links that will be able to take you to our series episodes. If you go to the watch on Twitch, you'll go to the AWS Training Live channel. From the AWS Training Live channel, there's a little heart. That heart allows you to follow us. And anytime we're streaming, it'll send you a message letting you know that we are streaming. The second thing that you can do after links are being dropped in chat, there's an email subscription as well. So Erica pulled up the page for us. Both of those links take you to either watching to LinkedIn or Twitch. Again, Twitch, you can follow. LinkedIn, you can follow us as well. Our email subscription as well. If you sign on to or subscribe to that email, it will send you alerts every time AWS, the Training Live channel, is streaming. You will get notified to let you know that there's a new show that is starting or another show that's going on, so that you can come in and you can follow us and you can join.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a fantastic plug there, because I've found myself jumping onto series just because I get the email. I had no idea the series was going on, but I got the email. I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. So that's a great point. Thanks for bringing that up, Dash. Yeah.
So there's like an Inception thing going on here now, because like we're live and we're there, and you see I'm already followed, so I don't want to unfollow. But then again, also this great email subscription. Just type in your email, select what country you're from, say business or personal interest, and submit. And wherever the AWS Training Live channel is live, you're notified.
I absolutely love that. Thank you for showing us all those details.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about the exam itself. I'm just going to quickly go into full screen, and I'm going to show you this page over here. Right. So what we have at the moment is the basic AWS certification page, aws.amazon.com/certification. If my wonderful chat moderators, which I haven't introduced, my bad. We have Julie Elkins, who is the queen of certifications, in the Training Live chat, and we have Elsie Alvarez, wonderful instructor, who is now in a little bit of a different role, but still very much beloved in the LinkedIn chat. So if you both can just put the link to the Architect Associates exam into the chat, that would be super helpful to me. But this is the basic main page for all certifications, right? So if you were to just literally browse the internet for AWS certification, this is the page that you would get to, and you can come and click on this button over here to prepare for an exam or get the information about preparing for a specific exam. And a lot of information on this page, but one of the things that is most important is to actually go and find the specific certification that you would like to see, and that is over here, and that is the link that Julie and Elsie has already put into the chat for all of you. Now, what's important on this page, and I think I'm probably zoomed in a little bit too much, right? Is that better? Dash, Jason, is that a little bit better?
Yeah, that's a little bit better.
That is good.
I am hoping so.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay, so this here is the AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate page, and here you can find out all the detail about this specific exam. The exam is 130 minutes and 65 questions. You can see the cost here, but most importantly, you can see how to prepare. We have a beautiful 4-step plan to help you prepare for this exam, including, of course, these kind of Twitch shows that we have here. But I want to point to the exam guide, which we will be reviewing in just a second, because this episode is focused on the exam in general, and then also focused on domain 1. So if you look at this specific exam guide, why is everything just freezing up on my computer today? You see that? Of course it is today. Why?
It's
What other
Monday
day
for
would it
technology
happen?
as well.
Yes, yes, it is. You got to ease
Right?
into it.
Insane. Okay, so here is the exam guide for the Solutions Architect Associate, also fondly known as the SAA exam. And things that I want to point out here before we get started. We have different types of questions, and it is important to know which is which. Some of the questions in the exam are multiple choice and some are multiple response. With a multiple choice question, you have a single response that you need to select. There's multiple responses, you need to select the correct one. With a multiple response, you might need to select more than one, but the question will clearly tell you how many. Right, Jason?
Yes, yeah. There will be clear instructions within the question, letting you know what the expectation is there. So if it's going to be select 2 options, select 3 options, that it will be very explicit to let you know what to choose. I was curious on whether either one of you had a different approach or timing when you're thinking about a multiple choice question or a multiple select. Do you do a lot more time for the multiple select question, or is there even a difference when you're taking the exam? Do you
Good
think about
question.
mentally?
I don't do that at all. I've never considered that. If you are somebody who has different timings on a multiple response or a single response question, I would love to know about it. My main thing that I do is I know that in this exam I have 65 questions, I have 130 minutes. Now, if you do the math, that's about 2 minutes per question.
Mm-hmm.
Many of my questions, even some multi-response questions, will take me 20 seconds. And other questions will take me up to a minute just to read, and understand what they are asking of me. Do you agree, Dash?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. There are ones that I can go through really, really quick. Some will take a little bit longer. There are, I don't say easy, medium, hard questions, but kind of like a mix in there. But for me, when I'm taking the exam, what I do is I'll read the question and I'll try to answer it before I look at the answer choices. And that typically helps me find the answer I'm looking for quicker. So for me,
Okay.
I read and say, okay, this is how I would do it, and then look to see if any of the answers validate how I.
So when we get to the first question, Dash, could you teach us your method for answering exam questions?
I absolutely could do that.
Okay, I'd love that. Okay, so we have 65 questions in 130 minutes, but only 50 of those questions will affect your score. So though you won't necessarily know which of those questions are scored or unscored, but 50 of them do affect your score, and you need 720 out of a possible 1,000, so 72%, to pass this exam.
C's get certifications. That's right.
Yes. This is normally where I start. Okay. When I'm preparing for an exam, I open up this exam guide and I read, what do I need to know? And then this will immediately focus my studying, because I will be going through here and I will be making little check marks mentally on the, no, actually physically. I literally write with a pen on my screen. And then I will decide, okay, I know this, I don't know this, I need to go and study this a little bit more. And that is how I focus my time, because my time is limited. Yes. So here we have in this exam 4 domains, each with different scoring. Would you like to discuss the 4 domains for us, please, Dash?
Absolutely. And I also want to say, we're going to see a pattern of how the domains are structured, and maybe how some amazing Twitch series that goes over the certification is also structured. But the first domain, we have design secure architecture, which is about 30% of the exam, which ironically enough is what we're going over in episode 1. Mm-hmm. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how that lined up. Then domain 2 is all about resilient architecture. That's about 26% of the exam. And we're just so happen to going to talk about resilient architecture in episode number 2. Then we go to domain number 3, which is about designing high-performing architectures, about 24% of the exam. Also something, we're going to do in episode 3. Then domain 4 is all about cost or designing cost optimization in your architecture, which is about 20% of the exam. And what episode 4 is about.
Love it. And, I generally completely ignore the percentages and just study them all as if they are going to be my bread and butter for the next year. But it does give you some guidance, right?
Yeah, but my advice to anything that has any type of rubric or like percentage outline is to always study for 100%. Because if you study for 720 points, you don't leave yourself very much margin. So you might as well study for 1,000 points and give yourself a little wiggle room.
I had a friend at university who would do that and be like, if they got more than 2% than what they needed, they spent too much time on that and not enough time on partying. But me, we have a very different personality. So today we are discussing domain 1. And in domain 1, it's all about security, designing secure architectures. And the first part you need to know is designing secure access to AWS resources. One of the first places to start here is, of course, IAM, right? Yes. Jason, tell us what IAM is.
Yeah, so IAM, Identity and Access Management. So to me, that's the bread and butter of security. So if you don't have a permission laid out, you're not going to be able to access whatever resource. So that's your way of defining and controlling different roles and responsibilities for one, permissions that people can use to access certain things in your account, but also to me, it's the building blocks that you need to control security in the cloud environment. So yeah, that's the way I look at it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very good explanation there. And Dash, this is always my first place when I create a new account. I create a new account, I log in with my root account, username and password, and my first stop is IAM. To do what, Dash?
To assign permissions so every action within AWS is an API call. So you can't do anything without making an API call. IAM is what gives you the ability to make those API calls. So even the way you sign in, every single thing that you do in AWS requires the permission to do it. And identity access management gives our users, our federated users, our services even, the ability to do that. Yes, I said the services even for two services to be able to communicate with each other, it's an API call, and it has to be given the permission to do so.
Love that. Okay. And of course, this root account, I want to go protect that like nobody's business, right? So I need to stop using it. First thing I need to do is to have an IAM user in order to do that. All right, so designing secure access to AWS resources, you need to understand designing secure workloads and applications. And here we also need to understand a bit about network security. One of our questions that we will have during this, maybe not today, but maybe some other day on this season, will be on that. Know about the different security services and what they are used for. And then we also need to understand the appropriate data security controls. This is to make sure that you have it set up so that your data is protected, it is confidential, it is not accessed by somebody who should not have access to that. And then you'll see that is the end of domain 1. So those are the different steps that we have, or the different task statements that we have in domain 1 to cover. And now I would like to go and possibly switch to a question. Are you ready for that? Everybody ready for that?
I think so.
Ready to go.
In the chat, let us know. Let us know if you're ready for question 1. Question 1.
Too late. It's on the screen. It's on the screen. I'm sorry. It's too late. Wait. Let me take it. Let me take it off quickly for those.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. As you
I got it
prepare
ready.
for the.
Okay.
I was just going to point one thing out for the security. I love the fact that it's the first domain, and it really, we talk about being job zero at AWS, but that security lays the foundation, because if you don't have that secure foundation, everything else kind of builds on top of that. So I love the fact that domain 1 is it seems like the primary focus and position there is number 1.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And yes, at AWS, we constantly say, and we believe as well, security is job zero. So security is important to us. So we start with security, and then we build on top of that. Something else I've been seeing in the chat, especially on the LinkedIn, is about the SAA retiring on the 31st of July. So the exam itself isn't retiring. We're updating the prep material. So that version of the prep material is going to get an update. But the 003 is they do not currently have plans to retire it. So yeah, so the exam is still the exam. We're just updating the material, making it more accessible for you all.
Okay, thank you. All right, and I'm hoping that you all have links to the exam guide as well as the Solutions Architect Associate exam page there. I see there's a comment in the chat asking for it to be posted to LinkedIn as well. So if my beautiful chat moderators can do that, I would be very happy. Okay, Dash, take it away for us. This question is a domain 1 question. What do we have?
Absolutely. So the CIO of a company is concerned about the security of the root user on their AWS account. How can the CIO ensure that the root account follows the best practices for securely logging in? So,
you just did something with your mouth that I am going to do with my screen.
There we go.
I did pick up some emphasis. Yes.
I saw it. I heard it. I mean, yes. I only did root user once. I should have done it both times. Sorry about that. I can obviously just go and underline it if you want that. But continue.
It's all right. It's all right. So we have a few things. One thing that I also want to point out is that this is a select 2. And like we were saying earlier, like Jason and Erica alluded to earlier, if it says, if you need to select 2, it'll tell you to select 2. But a couple of key things. So the security of the root user is something that we're looking at. We're also looking at best practices. So could I, A, enforce the use of an access key ID and secret key for root user logins? I could. Does it make it more secure? Let's find out. Enforce the use of MFA on the root user logins. Having multi-factor authentication, that is something that we talk about as best practices just as a security standard. Not necessarily AWS security, but it's a general security standard. So that's one that I may, in my brain, want to start. Enforce the root user to assume a role to access the root user's own resources. Assuming roles, temporary permissions, that does add a level of security, but is it best practice for what we're doing? Enforce the use of complex passwords for each member account. Root user logins, we could possibly do that as well. Or enforce the deletion of the root account so that it can't be used. Well, we don't want to delete the root user. We need the root user. The root user's account creations and deletions. So we need the root user, but as Erica said, we don't want to use the root user day to day. And we also want to make sure that it's extremely secure. So in my brain, when I think of IAM, when I think of logging in, and I think of making those logins secure, I, in my brain, would automatically say, I'm going to add MFA. Having that multi-factor authentication automatically adds another layer of security. So I gave you one. I see their answers in the chat. I see a lot of B's out there. I see some A's. I see D's sprinkled in as well. How would you resolve this? What are we thinking?
Okay, so Dash helped you out there. He basically gave you B.
You won. You won.
And I would love to know what you think is the second one. Type there in the chat. Do you think it is B and D, like Klein? I don't know how to pronounce this. My apologies. Or do you think that it is A and B, like this person over here who is doubting themselves a little bit? Let us know what it is that you think this is in the chat there.
I see a lot of B's. I see a lot of C's. I see some A's. Over on LinkedIn, I also see a lot of D's and A's. I see a lot of different answers in there. I see a lot of different people thinking some different things. Let's go ahead and
let's check it out.
What are we thinking?
So B was given. Absolutely correct, right? We do want to enforce the use of multi-factor authentication for root user logins, because that root user has all of the permissions in the entire account, right? Including access to credit card details and the billing dashboard, everything. Full access. So it is not good practice, and it definitely violates the principle of least privilege to use that root account on every single day. So we want to go and add that extra layer of security with MFA there. And D. So for those of you who said B and D, you are absolutely 100% correct. Why D, Dash?
Because the use of complex passwords. So everyone knows there are people who do this thing out there called where there's ethical or unethical. And the more complex your password is, 8 to 10 characters, uppercase, lowercase, special character, mixing in all these things, it's harder for someone to either guess your password, or it's going to take a computer a lot longer to randomly generate that password. So adding in that layer of multi-factor where you need to know one piece of information and then you need another, something biometric, a YubiKey, a randomly generated code, something else that adds that extra layer of authentication, and making those complex passwords are ways to help ensure that it's harder to get into your root account. The other ones are things that you can do, but they don't necessarily enforce security standards above those two choices.
Lovely. Okay, so we have a message here from our lovely listener saying, I just realized access key and secret key might leak if not properly stored. So A, yes, enforce the use of access key ID and secret access key for root user logins. Firstly, can I do a console login with a access key, secret key combination? No. What are they used for, Dash?
They're used for programmatic access. So if you have someone who primarily uses thin client, so they may use terminal, they may use PowerShell, and that's how they communicate with their resources. Secret access key and secret access key are essentially programmatic username and password. So yes, CLI, exactly. So if they're using CLI, if you're using command line interface, it is essentially a password to log in. And even with CLI, you can still enforce MFA. So yes, MFA and complex passwords are good for all accounts. This is a standard security best practice, not necessarily an AWS best practice, but a standard practice that you incorporate within your AWS account.
Okay, so I love that we're not just telling people why B and D is correct, but also why A, C, and E is not correct. So let's look at C. Are you happy to discuss that one, Jason? We have a comment here from one of our listeners about this. So I'm going to bring it up onto the screen. Enforce the root user to assume a role to access the root user's own resources. Is that even necessary, firstly? And secondly, do we do that?
So this I haven't had much experience with this specific example. So enforcing the root user to assume a role to access the root user's own resources.
Right? The
Yeah.
root user, firstly, cannot assume a role.
That's what I thought.
The root user.
Refresh
yes.
my.
So I can absolutely use the root user to create roles.
Yes.
But the root user cannot assume roles in its own account, and it already has all the full permission, and we don't want to use it for everyday use. We really do not. First thing we want to do is put it away. I even go so far as removing access keys and secret access keys from my root user account, putting MFA on it, and then I put it aside to be used in those situations that absolutely need some change to the account in general, right? And from now on, I am using my IAM user. Okay, right. So that's why, yes, the root user is used to, or can be used, but should probably not be used to create roles, but they cannot assume roles themselves. Okay, all right. And then what about E dash?
Oh, yeah, we don't want to delete the root account.
No, what happens?
The root account, if you delete the root account, there is no way for you to recover things. So for instance, the first thing that we want to do when we create an account is make an admin user. That admin user is different than root, but the root has all permissions. It can do all things. So if your admin user's credentials ever become compromised, you'd either need another admin user or the root to come in and clean that up, to disable access or to rotate the password or to change the password. Or again, if you wanted to ever delete the account, all of those things are done at the root level. So we always want root to exist. We just don't want to use root day to day. Root is like break flag. Like when something is wrong, when there is something that an admin user can't do and you need someone a level above to be able to do it, that's when we want to use root, but again, not for that day-to-day.
Technically, it is possible to delete the root account, but then you also delete all the resources from that account. It's all gone, and we that is not what we want to do. Yeah. Scooter from Space has kind of summarized the entire question here for us. Thank you, Scooter from Space. So the answer is dash.
Oh, B and D. I want to make sure that we have MFA for our root user. All users. And also enforce complex passwords for the member account root user logins.
All users. Yeah, that is exactly it. Okay, that is exactly it. You should go and learn your stage whisper from McKenna. I'm sure that hers is much, much clearer. There's nobody who can stage whisper like a little girl. Dash's little girl's name is McKenna, by the way. That's who I am talking about.
McKenna learned how to whisper in a helicopter. It's not very clear.
I love that. I love that. And they whisper the most embarrassing things at the most inopportune moments sometimes, very, very loudly. Okay. Another question. I think I'd love to have another question right now. What I want is for you to take this one, Jason, if you are okay with that. You happy?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Go.
Okay, so I'll see if I can call out the emphasis and spots similar to Dash to help key in on some of those root or keywords. So a solutions architect must secure the network traffic for two applications running on separate Amazon EC2 instances within the same subnet. The applications are called Application A and Application B. Application A requires that inbound HTTP requests be allowed and all other traffic be blocked. Application B requires that inbound HTTPS traffic be allowed and all other inbound traffic be blocked, including HTTP traffic. So just kind of overall, as I read through the question without reading the responses, this question is about controlling traffic at the application level or resource level for instances that share the same networking environment. So meaning within the same VPC and the same subnet. And one of the I love that Dash shared that he, as he reads through the question, he tries to come up with the solution before reading the responses. I don't know that I start to kind of key in on that as I read through, but one of my I feel like negative traits is trying to answer too quickly. So I would read through the question and then start reading the answers, and then not. So I have to be disciplined to read all of the potential responses because I'll end up the first one that looks logical. I'll choose that. So I have to kind of force myself to be disciplined when I'm taking an exam like that. So as we look at some of these key words, highlight. Let's highlight those before we go into reading some of the options. So yeah, as I tried to emphasize as I was reading it. So we want to secure the network traffic for two applications that are running within the same subnet. So there's one kind of layer to hone in on, and then the applications. We have two different applications, so two different resources that require different protocols for communication for their traffic. So you've got two resources within the same subnet that require different protocols. So there's going to need to be a way to configure that and control that traffic at that layer. So we've got a few options that we could choose from. And again, I have to be disciplined to read through. This is not a multiple select, so this one is just a multiple choice. As we read through, option A would be configure access with network access control list. Option B would be configure the access with security groups. If you go back to A, there's a key difference there between A and B. One is going to use network access control list, and one is going to be security groups. And then the next two, configure the network connectivity with VPC peering, or configure option D, configure the network connectivity with route tables. And if I just look at those two groups of potential answers, the first two are about configuring access, and then the next two are about configuring the network. So some of the times when you're taking the exam, you can key in on words like that. So the first two are one, I feel like align more with what you're trying to do, securing access. And the next two, we can look at those and see why we could potentially eliminate C and D. So I see some answers kind of rolling in. A and
we got
a
a lot
B.
of A's and a lot of B's.
Yeah,
I tried to also color code this so you know that the HTTP is for A and the HTTPS is for B, but actually it is irrelevant entirely to the answer of this question.
I appreciate the extra effort though, of color coding those.
You know, this is how I study. You should have seen my what do you call it, geometry books. So much color, so much color. But one of the most important phrases in this specific question, I think, is in the same subnet. Do you mind if I show people a little bit of a diagram of a VPC quickly while we're here?
Yeah, I would love that.
Okay, so let's see. Here we go. Quickly drew this up for you. No, I had it previously. Okay, this is a virtual private cloud diagram, or VPC. I don't want you to necessarily focus on too many things here, but I do want to focus on the subnet that we have multiple subnets here that are also color coded because I like that. The public ones are a different color than the private ones, but that's not what's important here. Both of my applications are in the same subnet, right? And where exactly is it that we have the network access control list? At what boundary does that sit, Jason?
So that's one of the. I'm glad we highlighted that because that's a key part of the question, and you brought it up. That boundary. So the network access control list is going to be at that subnet level. So there were
Uh-huh.
options there for two protocols that we had to control access. So
Yes.
I'm wondering if that almost immediately eliminates that, because you have multiple protocols with different resources within that require different options. With a NACL, I don't think you could do that, right?
Exactly, because right now I have this situation where application A and B want to communicate with each other, right? But they're
Yes.
inside the same subnet. So I'm never going to cross that boundary. So the network ACL is not going to help me in this instance at all. Right. So I'm going to change the color and so that we can see clearly. What is the boundary of the security groups?
So the security groups are going to be the resource boundary. So you could control traffic per the resource based on that boundary. So once you get past the NACL, you're already within that, that scope of constraints. And then now you have resources within there that have different requirements. So a security group would allow you to define those parameters and control the access at the resource level or EC2 instance level.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
if I was thinking about it, I say the public subnet is, a isolated secure zone within my network, and it's kind of a piece of that zone that I've dedicated. And I'm going to put resources or servers within that subnet. So the network ACLs will control the traffic coming in and out of the subnet. So we eliminated that because we're already in it. And then we're saying the security groups are basically the firewalls that are around those servers, or in AWS terms, the EC2 instances.
Correct.
Yes.
Exactly. And that's what I'm trying to draw here with the blue. I can attach a security group to a single server or single resource, database, load balancer, whatever. Or I can go and attach that security group to multiple resources, right? They can share because it's really just rules that tell me what type of traffic is allowed to enter and leave. And by default, nothing comes in and everything can go out. I need to go and specify what I would like to allow. Yes. And also the other thing, I think a big difference between these two that you need to know for the exam is that a network ACL is stateless and a security group is stateful. Would you like to explain the difference between those two, Dash?
Oh, yes. So if you think about it, like a security guard. So that when we think network ACL, it is two different paths. There's an entry path and there's an exit path. And you have to show credentials in both locations. So when something is stateless, it doesn't remember what happened before, and it checks every single time. So I show my credentials to get in. I'm showing credentials to get back out. We're going to make sure that it matches.
This kind of thing happens at my house as well, Dash, because my dad would probably not remember that you came in, so he'll ask you who you are when you go out again.
So when you come in, it's, hey, where are you going? Oh, like I'm going here. Okay. When you're leaving, it's, hey, where are you going? So it's it's like my kids. The daughter that alluded to earlier. Anytime I leave the house, it's, where are you going? I'm like, I thought I was the adult.
No. You thought
that. Dash, I like to think of it like if you've ever been to an event to where you get like a wristband to go into, maybe a concert or whatever. So you get a wristband, and that wristband allows you to kind of come and go freely, which would be stateful.
Exactly.
But if it's stateless, to be like, okay, I don't have a wristband, so the guard is checking at the entrance, the exit. You can't come and go freely. So
exactly. Yeah. With stateless and stateful, the thing to remember with stateless is you're not remembered. So anytime you want to ingress or egress, no matter which way you're going, you have to tell somebody where you're going. For stateful, if you're allowed in, when you want to leave, they're going to remember who you are. Like, oh yeah, I did let you in. Yeah, go ahead.
That's
You're
right.
free to go. So state full, if it's allowed in, it's going to be allowed back out. State list, even if it's allowed in, it needs to be checked again to be allowed out. So two-way street versus one-way street.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Love that. Then, so we've talked about this one and this one, and it cannot be A because we don't cross that boundary, right? And I think you already alluded to this, Jason, while mentioning these. C and D are connectivity features. A route table definitely defines a path. Definitely defines a path that I can follow, right?
Yeah, so it's more of the traffic control.
It is exactly, but there's no security checkpoints. It just tells me which roads I can follow, because bundu bashing, going into the veld, going into the bush is not allowed when it comes to the networks. Right. So I have a bunch of B's and A's here, but let's just go and confirm the answer here with you, Jason.
Yes. So based on everything we discussed and kind of breaking down the question, the answer, and hopefully I don't get surprised, should be B, configure the access with security groups, because you get down to that resource level.
You can pat yourself on the back there, my friend.
Right.
In fact, hold on. I have a fist bump for you. There you go.
Nice.
Right, I got a little fist bump for you. Good job. It is in fact configuring access with the security groups. A and B are security features. C and D are connectivity features. So that will definitely not be the ones that we are talking about. Okay, right. So anything that either of you want to add about this question before we move along?
For this question, I think like for me, when I'm learning new technology, no matter where it is, even inside of AWS, I like to liken it to something that I already understand. So if you're thinking of network ACLs as firewalls for the subnet, you understand where that boundary is. Think of security groups as firewalls for the resource, so the server. You'll be able to, understand which one is doing what. I say in state list and stateful. State list, you're checked both ways. Stateful, if you're allowed in, you're allowed back out. As long as you can put those things in your brain, you'll be able to get through those questions as they pop up.
So remind us which one is stateful and which one is stateless.
Oh, so stateful is going to be the security group, the one that remembers you as you go in and out. Stateless, meaning it's not going to remember who you are. That one is our network ACL.
And please forgive me for just adding a little bit onto what you just said. I don't like to say in and out. And I do this because it's directional, right? And not necessarily in. If the traffic could leave, it could come back. If the traffic could get in, it couldn't get out. So if it could go one way, it can go the other way. And that's a security group, right?
Yes.
Also, I think, Julie really enjoyed my tiny little fist bump there. So I will give you another one. There you go. Good job, Jason.
Nice.
Silliness is my middle name. All right. So we do not have a ton of time left. So I'm not going to do another question and rush that. But I do have another question, which I will then put in our last episode, which is a review episode. So you will not miss out on that question. But we have homework. Yes, homework for you, my wonderful chat moderators. If you could put details of this homework into the chat. Jason, I know you want to say something. I'll come to you in 1 second.
I was going to talk about is it homework or home fun? I think there's a key distinction.
I think Aaron Hunter has brainwashed you. It is indeed. Okay, sure. Let's go with Aaron Hunter and call it home fun. Yes.
Yes.
We can do that. And I believe I learned the Spanish word for this recently. Tarea. I don't know. I'm trying my best to aprendo español at the moment it's going very, very slowly because clearly learning languages at my age is not working so well. But we have a 2-part homework, home fun. And if, again, I see Julie has already put it there in the Twitch chat. Elsie, if you can put it in for us as well. I can't see the LinkedIn chat at the moment. So if it is in there, thank you very, very much. Basically, what we want you to do is take the Domain 1 Practice AWS Certified Solutions Architect questions and go and reinforce some of the knowledge that you might already have of Domain 1 and identify any possible learning gaps with your exam style questions and flashcards. And thank you so much there, Dash, for showing this. So you can absolutely go and start doing practices. This first practice exam is fantastic. I like to just run it like almost with no study and get an idea of what I know and what I don't know. Do you gentlemen do the similar thing?
Yes. So yeah, I like to tell myself, especially like working at AWS as long as I have, that I know 750 points worth of information. So I go and test that. And if I don't, I can hyper focus on what it is that I need to spend more time on.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. You know, and to focus on the things that's important. All right, so take that Domain 1 practice. And the second thing I want you to go and do for me is complete the AWS SimiLearn, specifically the permissions for a serverless application one, which is also linked there into the chat. And honestly, SimiLearn is just so much fun. I suppose from all of the game-based learning, I am completely in love with an escape room. But there is no escape room yet for architecting on AWS. However, there is definitely Cloud Quest that you can do for architecting on AWS. And there is this beautiful SimiLearn that helps you to set up permissions for a serverless application while you're also learning some of the softer skills, right? The softer skills part. In other words, you're going to be speaking to a customer and answering their questions. All right. This has been a day. This has been a wonderful, wonderful morning. I love starting out my Monday mornings like this. And we're going to do this for 4 more Mondays to come. So
4 more weeks.
Yes.
4 more weeks.
Yes. Love it. Love it. Love it. So today was Domain 1. Next week, Dash, is
Domain 2.
There you go. And then, Jason, on the 3rd week, we will have Domain
3. I'm starting to see a pattern here.
And then in the 4th week, Domain 4. And in the 5th week, we're going to recap. We're going to summarize. We're going to go and review. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you will join us same time next week, same place, whether you prefer Twitch or LinkedIn Live, doesn't matter. Be there, join us. We would love to have you. Thank you to my wonderful hosts, Mr. Dash Williams, who, by the way, got his name because he actually can run very, very fast. And Jason Smith here, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you as well to my lovely chat moderators, Julie Elkins and Elsie Alvarez. And yeah, right, what else do we have to say here? Really is that we want you to connect with us. So here we are. These are the QR codes to our LinkedIn profiles. We would love for you to connect with us. Tell us what you thought about the episode. If there's something that you would like to improve or have suggestions of, or specific questions that you want answered, that is where you can connect with us on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. Feel free to follow us. Love to have you. Love to see your journey and know how we're doing, helping you prepare.
Okay, so next week, Domain 2. See you there. Can't wait. Bye, everybody.
Bye.